Evtol Weekly, episode 12. My name's Liam.
And I'm Reese.
And Reese, it's literally 12 straight weeks, 3 months. Evtol Weekly, how are you feeling?
Unbelievable. I can't believe we're here. We're 12 weeks deep. And yeah, it's been a big weekend, really, for the Irish community. Paddy's Day. And it
Guys,
seems...
really, if you've been missing our content over the last few days, I am so sorry. But look, Paddy's Day over here is just next level. Did you get up to much Paddy's Day, Reese?
Yeah, it was a bit of a heavy weekend, but that's just part of the culture. And I think we'd be doing our ancestors wrong if you didn't go out and have a few beers and celebrate.
Well, do you know what? I was out with, it was our granddad I was out with. He's a man for the drink. But do you know what? We're going to steer away from talking about drink so early on in the stream.
Yeah, I think that's sensible.
You up to much over the weekend?
I went out for a meal, met with a few friends, watched the rugby. It wasn't great, really, with Ireland. Watched the football. Arsenal done well.
See McGregor's over talking to Donald Trump lately.
Oh Jesus, yeah, that was. You can never.
I know our Prime Minister came out. It was yesterday. He came out and said he does not represent the opinions of the Irish people. Look, guys, I love Conor McGregor, but some of his opinions are a bit,
And I think that with some of his actions and his use of certain substances probably has sort of diminished his name because I think we all loved him when he was in the ring. That Jose Aldo fight was unbelievable, but but just to turn it on its head, obviously we were out gallivanting, but it seems like Joby and Archer were there working in the office and working late because we've actually finally got some news to report.
Do you know what it was? With Joby, when I seen it come out, I was like, no way. Yeah. Maybe Kathy would, and now Joe Ben, listen to us.
I think it was definitely that, yeah. They probably watched that passionate rant and they were like, we need to pull the finger out. But like genuinely, when I seen it, I did have to rub my eye just to make sure it wasn't a mirage. Make sure I got the water in and I checked it, and unbelievable, really. I felt that was quite an interesting one, that Virgin Atlantic deal. And then reading further into it, I found out that Delta Airlines actually owns 49%.
I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. I thought it was primarily. I know Branson's
been done
more or less in out of most of them.
Yeah.
But I thought it was heavily Branson back. And then, to be fair, I haven't looked at the ins and outs of the Virgin Group. So the fact that Atlantic is 49% owned by Delta, I was very surprised. And you know what? When I originally seen that, I was very wary because of Virgin Galactic and the ties towards Virgin Galactic.
Then
with the 49% ownership from Delta, is it more or less a different company than the old Virgin we used to see?
I don't think it was all bad. I don't think it was all bad, Virgin. I think PR-wise, they were quite good. They managed to catch us out. And maybe that's the part that they want to bring in. From my own personal perspective, I was actually quite happy that they'll be bringing it to the UK. So it would be Manchester to Leeds and potentially Heathrow to Canary Wharf, which for the American viewers at the moment, that would be an hour-long journey. And they're saying it might be 8 minutes. Like to go from Heathrow to Canary Wharf would be incredible. And it's something I'd definitely be looking to get on.
I would be flying into Manchester quite regularly. And then my missus lives quite close to Leeds, and they're saying that they were going to bring in more or less an hour and a half long journey down to 15 minutes. Yeah. And I seen there was a survey this week. I think Adam Goldstein shared it, and it said 98% of frequent flyers said they would fly in an eVTOL aircraft. I'm telling you, they listen to us. They've been listening to our streams, mate. But they said 98% of frequent flyers would fly in eVTOL aircraft. Now, I was looking. They're looking between 28 to 2030, is it, for these to actually come into place in the UK. Are you happy with that sort of time frame? And
Like,
trying to dig into the numbers a little bit, and I couldn't actually see a number of aircraft they actually wanted to deploy.
yeah, well, I think what everyone always gets scared of is everyone wants instant gratification with their investment. But I don't know about the rest of you guys, but we're now 3 months into the year, almost 4, and how quickly has that gone? And before you know, it'll be 2026, 2027, and then 2028. So if we're talking 3 years, it really, obviously, I would love nothing better than we put the money in now, and then next week, there we go, we've got all our gains. But as we always say, if it goes up quick, it will come down just as quick.
Yeah.
So really, we want that steady growth and get building the foundations and then moving on from there.
Well,
but
I'm quite happy to see Archer and Joby itself. Well, Joby's more or less stagnating around the $6.50, $7 range.
Yeah.
And then Joby's, or not Joby, Archer's then pushing up towards the $8 range and trying to hold that. And I just want to see quite a bit of consolidation, just build a bit of a base before our next rally up.
Well, considering where we were in, was it end of October, middle of October, sometimes you do have to take the step back, because I know we had the peak in January, but unfortunately, it doesn't just do that straight line. As much as we would love it. Unfortunately, sometimes you've got to come back, consolidate before you can go and retest and see what you can get a new breakout, and hopefully be at our $20 goal by the end of the year.
And this is what I want to ask the guys, really. Like, everyone's going to jump in and say, yeah, they're buying, but I don't believe absolutely everyone is buying at the moment, and they're buying the dip and this, that, and the other. I feel like people do like to talk. But I want to know, honestly, guys, are you working as hard as you can, getting as much capital as you can, and then just putting it in the market now? Are you waiting for a further pullback? Or what is the story? Like, do you think we're going to drop a little bit further? Because at the moment, I'm just trying absolutely everything to gain as much capital as I can to get into the market. Like, we don't know where we're going to go. Yes, I could see us dropping back further, but look, all it takes is a meeting between Trump and any of the big international countries and pull the likes of tariffs or
the
ceasefire in the Ukraine, and you'll see the market rally.
Yeah.
So 100%. I just feel like you can't bet on politics in the market at the moment, and I'd be very careful doing it. What are you doing at the moment, Riz?
So very similar to what you're saying about just getting that capital in. And at the moment, what I think is happening is the way that I see these tariffs is it's a bit of like a hard stance of here's the tariffs, and it's a bit of a stick to be like, this is what we can do. Then obviously there's the negotiation tactic of, that doesn't really help everyone. Then they'll come to an agreement of either weakening the dollar or lowering the tariffs. And then the next thing you know, bang, we've got a bit of a boom, lots of capital, a bit of a cash injection. And then I think everything will rally from there. So at the moment, I think these sort of prices are good for Archer and Joby. As always, it's not financial advice, it's just my own personal opinion. But I think especially with Archer's news, in a great video that you done this week with Palantir, and I think it was broken before that they were sort of partnered or wanted to be partnered, but then this is the first time we've got the actual details and like a bit of an.
I seen an interesting comment by one of the people in the comments, and it is quite true. And this shows you how good Archer's PR team are. They more or less have announced this partnership.
Yeah.
However, they've announced the partnership by becoming a customer of a company.
Yeah.
It's like me saying I'm partnering with my local Walmart. They'll happily take me on. Yeah, they'll happily take me on. Of course they will, because there's money involved. But no, I do think it is great. I would have liked to seen the likes of Joby, the fact that they are claiming to be much further ahead, being partnered with Palantir. I do think this will make Archer leaps and bounds.
Yeah,
ahead
I agree.
Of Joby.
The only thing that I was The only thing that I was kind of thinking about that though was because they're vertically integrated. Does that mean that they make their own software and they don't want to be relying on a subcontractor, or they don't want to be subbing it out? That's what I was thinking. I don't know if they can create their own AI and stuff like that. But
potentially, I wouldn't want to be going up against the likes of Palantir.
That was the other thing. Would you want to be trying to go up against one of these companies that it's got expertise in that industry, especially in the AI industry? And it goes so well. It goes so well with the defense side of Archer. It's just like it was like a match made in heaven, wasn't it? And at the moment, it just seems to be that ball is rolling for Archer. And it's so funny because if you'd have asked us maybe 3 months ago, the tune was very different, and it just goes to show how quickly this race can turn.
Well, what made me laugh a little bit was the amount of shock it's sort of from the retail investor that they're now going to be used in Palantir. Because I've done 2 videos previously on Archer talking about Palantir AIP and how they'd use it with the likes of logistics, manufacturing, and then we're going to get onto this, the air traffic control. But they went to AIP Con in 2023, I think it was. And if you look, guys, I shared a video 8 months ago, and then I've done another one, I think it was about 3 months ago, on this. And everything they said is exactly more or less what has happened over the last week. Yes, you've got a deal signed between Karp and Goldstein, but is it as big a news as we think it is, or were they already planning for this to happen?
Yeah, I think it's the age-old thing that we've been saying about Adam.
It's how he's going to play.
Yeah, he's really starting to get like my backing because he just seems to be so clever. He seems to be able to spin. He spins things, and to be honest, a lot of the game is perception, isn't it? It doesn't really matter what you've done. It just makes how does it look like you've done it. And at the moment, like if we're speaking about using Palantir, like the manufacturing side, I know we all came off the earnings, and I'm pretty sure one of the questions was, but how will you get up to 650 aircrafts? And I think with using AI, you can imagine that growth could be exponential once they've obviously got the part certification in and they've done their 12 or 10 by the end of the year. I could imagine next year, obviously, it won't be 650, but if they could double that to 24 or 48, I could then see their exponential growth going forward.
Like, it really is. When you're partnering with a company like Palantir, I feel like it's 2 ways. Have Palantir just taken them on as a customer, or is Alex Karp pushing for the likes of Archer to do well? Because if Archer does do well, you're looking at I don't want to say Uber-sized business, however, potentially an Uber-sized business. And imagine the amount of money that will generate for the likes of Palantir. So I wouldn't say Palantir are going into it as a nothing business, but are they going to get all the resources required, or is it just as much as you pay for, really?
Yeah.
Is it like me and you go and buy in like Microsoft Office for a presentation?
Yeah. And you only get the subscription for X amount of time. Something you just mentioned there, and like I think we sort of touched on it last week, was about relationships. And you don't know if Palantir and the Ministry of Defense have had some sort of conversation, and they've said, like, by the way, there's going to be big contracts going to them. You might want to speak to them and get their business now, because like the money that's going to be rolling into them, you want to have on board. Or it could happen the other, vice versa. Like Palantir could be great to use on your system, and will maybe fast track you if you use it.
Yeah,
you don't know what these conversations could be, but I would imagine them 3 are probably interlinked somewhere along the line.
And I did say that in my video, that are they bringing in Palantir? Are they focusing on the defensive side, the commercial side, or are they doing it for both? Because really, I can see how it will work for both. So that would be the easy answer. However, the way you said that there with the defense side, I can really see like relationships being built between, say, like you have a trilogy of the Archer, Palantir, and Andrel coming together, three amazing companies. They will be a dominant force for the Department of Defense. One thing I just want to clarify for some guys, because I've seen it going around an awful lot, are Joby doing anything to do with space or anything like that? No, they're not. Virgin Atlantic and Virgin Galactic, even though they're under the Virgin brand, are completely two different businesses. So I want to clear that up.
We don't want them.
You know what? That would be a very interesting one, but no. And do you know what? Would you go near space tourism again, or have you been stonewalled?
Not space tourism. I think we were maybe 50 years too early.
I think we're far fetched. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. But I do like the idea of it. I did like the inception of that idea. Like I can see, because I would like to go there, but when the ticket's £500,000, how many people can actually go? And then you need volume to actually like be able to fund it. But just bringing back to that with Palantir, I think the other thing with the defense is if they're Andrel are already using Palantir, there might be a part where it can just merge together, because these are using Palantir, they're using Palantir, so it might be easier to merge, I don't know, the defenses, systems, and now Archers, rather than one company trying to learn the other one, or vice versa.
Could you ever see a merger between Archer Defense and Andrel?
No, I don't think Adam. I think Adam's. I think
Adam clarified that pretty well in the. Am I repeating?
No, you're good there for me.
No, I think Adam clarified that pretty well in the earnings call, that he doesn't want Archer Defense being a separate business to Archer Aviation, so you won't get this like Virgin Galactic, Virgin Atlantic sort of thing. However, we're talking about $1 trillion industry, and Andrel, were they IPOing at 28 million or 28 billion?
28 billion, yeah. I remember we had it on the stream here.
Are we going to see Archer outtake Andrel? And then this is an interesting one. In many years' time, could you see Archer merging with Andrel, coming under Archer Defense? There you go. There's the first one.
I think we might be getting a bit ahead of ourselves here.
You're talking to the next Kathy Wood here.
Yeah. I think at the moment, I think we should just stay in our lane and not start worrying about trying to swallow up someone who's like 8 or 9 times bigger. But I like your thinking, and I imagine Adam has very similar thinking. I don't think he's going to be just sitting on his laurels now and say, oh, okay, we've got a bit of good news and a bit of good market sentiment.
And then we'll get back to air traffic. So Elon came out and said that they more or less need AI controlling air traffic. There needs to be massive focus on the likes of air traffic. The fact that Archer's going straight in with Palantir, do you think they're going with the approach of they're going to go AI from the start, or is it going to be human operated?
I think with the FAA, I remember reading before, apparently the FAA prefer human operated, but maybe there's a possibility for going with AI and then human operators overseeing it. But I think there will definitely 100% be human operated at the beginning somewhere, whether they're just checking the AI or whether the AI is just checking them, vice versa. There will be someone human operated.
That was going to be my next question. Like, do you reckon it'd be harder to get through certification? And then it goes on to the fact that Palantir may speed up certain parts of certification, but will it slow down other parts because it's heavily AI?
Well, I think it's very similar to, as you were saying, Elon's Tesla, where they're doing the full self-driving model. And the only way that it can be implemented is if they have millions of hours of drive time and prove that it's safer than if a human done it. And the only way to do that, obviously, is just flights. But in the meantime, surely you'd want to be actually maybe doing some commercial flights. So I can imagine it'd be human operated as long as they can prove that with their flight simulator.
Speaking about full self-driving, I seen that Elon this week, well, not Elon, Tesla this week have made a deal in China. They're going to offer full self-driving as a free package, which Tesla investors took that really badly. But then bringing that back to eVTOLs, would you like to see, first of all, just to get flight data and just to get public adoption, would you like them to go in at a low margin and get the flight data, get the public perception up? Or do you want them to go in at that high price, like Tesla did at the very start? Ensure your margins. And because it's basically high risk, high reward then.
Yeah. Well, I personally would say I prefer them to go with a higher margin and then to provide a high quality service. I imagine when we get to type certification, this will obviously be a good problem to have, which way we're going to do it. But if they charge a higher margin and they can provide a very good quality service, I imagine people will go back commenting, "Oh, this was the service that was provided." Whereas if it's like cheap, or you might start trying to cut corners, and then is it going to be a high quality product? People are going to end up like going and slagging off your eVTOL and don't go on this. This is the service that was provided, and then you have a negative, even though that you were being good and charging them nothing for it. But people won't see it like that. They'll just see what service was provided.
And then,
what about you? How do you feel on it?
I was always in the belief of high margin will protect you against, say, if a catastrophe or something like that happens. You need the capital because it will completely collapse. However, after seeing everything recently, and I will stop going on about it because I feel like we're bringing it to every stream, but I feel like that impacting so negatively that I think if there was one, I think it's more or less going to finish the business anyway. Then I go with, why don't you do the likes of what Tesla do? Get as much data as you can. The more data you can get, you can then potentially go to pilot less flights. And then it's less operational cost. Especially if you're going with an AI model by going so heavy with Palantir. Why don't you get the flight data, get as much as you can, get as much customers as you can, you get all the PR because everyone's putting it on the likes of their Snapchats, their Instagrams, or whatever. Everyone wants to fly in one. Everyone can afford them and get it that way. It's a bit like, are you going to go after the Walmart, Amazon approach, or are you going to go after the full-on Tesla at the very start approach? Guys, please let me know, which would you prefer? Higher margins at the start and you will generate money a lot quicker. However, if it bangs and people love it, you're just going to get too much demand and not enough supply. And sometimes aren't you better with that than too much supply and not enough demand?
The only problem with that, if we went with a cheaper model, there's a bit more. If you keep the marginal risk might be 1%, or let's hope it's a lot lower than that, 0.001%. But if you end up doing more flights, there's a greater risk. So the more flights you do, the greater that chance is. Even if it is just 0.01, there's a chance that something could break, or like obviously.
But that'd be the kind of thing I'd be going after, because surely to get flight data, that's what you want. You want to more or less run them to the, because if that margin is there,
then you want to
eventually, even with a higher margin, you still want to run that many flights.
But preferably you'd have done that without any. We don't want customers there, do we? We want that to be be done. But like once people are actually in it, I don't know. I guess it's like the what Bag usually says, we need to test it with a 200-pound person over 5 miles.
Or a few sandbags fired into it.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting approach. I just like the fact that if we were charging higher and if we were doing a good job, I imagine the demand will follow. And then you're making good money for it. And then once you do sort of, iron out the kinks, because there will be kinks. There'll be teething issues, and no matter what new technology you start, you'll have a cash reserve to do that. And by the time that you get to implement it to everyone, you've then like basically got the finished model, and you've reduced the amount of cash you were going to burn, and then you can go and offer it to everyone for the price of a black cab or a yellow taxi.
And then I want to get back to the UK again. Like, this is again like I've told you before, my biggest concern is public perception, and I know that Adam put out frequent flyers and stuff like that, but until the product's there, you're not actually going to know, because you could give me a survey, would I don't know, bungee jump, and I could say yes now, and then when I'm in front of the bungee jump, there's no way I'm going near it. Like, having a 98%, it looks good, but what I want to say is, okay, let's roll on. We're sitting in 2028, yeah? It's the first Joby Virgin Atlantic flight.
Yeah.
Are you getting on that? I'm not saying after 100 flights, are you getting on the first one?
No. You send a canary down the mine, don't you? You don't go on yourself.
But that's what I mean. So you said you would fly on one of these.
I would, yeah, 100%.
No one wants to be the first to do it.
No.
And that's my fear is it going to be, oh, they've only flown 100 times, they've only flown 1,000 times, they've only flown, it's only a matter of time. And this is my whole thing about psychology, human herd psychology, and like public perception. Because you still have people afraid of flying because of catastrophe. But the amount of planes fly, what happens. And then if something does happen, it's going to be all over the news. Like, I'm sorry bringing Virgin Galactic back into this, but remember when there was a screw came loose during the flight? This was these people were going to have their lives lost. Like, and there was nothing wrong completely. So when you're this early into a company, people are going to butcher you from the start. So you need to be absolutely flawless. And public perception is my only thing. Like, the likes of me and you would be more likely to go on it because we've researched it. And by 2028, we'd have seen it for the last few years. However, coming into the UK, how many people in the UK even know Joby and Archer exist?
God knows. I would say, fair. But do you know what I think is good is they're going to be going under the banner of Virgin Atlantic, and it'll probably be part of like a flight deal. Get the flight and then get this on top, and it'll bring you to Canary Wharf within 8 minutes. And then some people would like to try it just because it is brand new and it's cutting edge. And then once they've seen that a few people have done it, and then there's probably going to be flights running in, let's say, the Middle East, America first, and then they're saying, well, there's already been thousands of flights over there. By the time it gets to the UK, it'll be very similar to like we have a lot of like line bikes. They're like electric bikes. You scan it. When they first got brought in, everyone said no, or they were first brought in under Boris bikes, and then it was or Santander bikes, and then it was nobody will ever use it. That's a complete waste of time. Now you can never find one because everyone's got one and is cycling around on it. So it's very similar. Like, it's a very similar technology of like someone's came up with it. It's cutting edge, and then it just takes a while for like me to see two other people doing it and be like, oh, actually, do you know, it'd be quite handy if I could jump on a bike rather than getting a 30-minute train journey. The bike's only 15 minutes, and it's very similar. It's just a different mode of transport.
And that's why I want to. It's going to be a bull case for some people, and it's going to be a bear for others. That example there shows me exactly that. When these all came out, people thought there's no way they're going to work. Why wouldn't people just Uber? Because they'll pay for an Uber and they'll go down. Why would you get on a bike? Yeah. But now that they've all switched to bikes, you haven't got rid of Uber. Yeah. People still go on Uber. Now, when these come out to the masses, we have some extreme bulls saying they will take on the like full self-driving Uber like that. I believe it'll be more of a symbiotic sort of relationship where you'll probably get your Uber to your air taxi and away you go. I could see them working side by side. I don't think Uber will stop people from using air taxis, and I don't think air taxis will stop people using Ubers. I think they're two different use cases for them. The only thing about it, I could see them being more the likes of airport trips, the likes of, I don't know, business meetings where they need to get from here to there quickly.
Yeah.
I don't really know, could I see them ever being, potentially in 20, 30, 40 years' time, taking on the likes of your subways, your London Transport, something like that.
No, not to that extent. Just because of
it's just the amount of people that use these.
the sheer volume, yeah.
I just don't know. I can't understand how you could get a 4-person aircraft to do that. And then my only worry then is we're going for 4-people aircraft. I know the average family over in Ireland is 5 people. I don't know what it is in America, and I don't know what it is in England, but I know more or less on average it's 5 people. And then is that you have to order 2 of these, where you could order an Uber XL and away you go. And that's another thing that worries me. I do think there'd be class at saving time. And I think some people think I come onto this stream being bullish all week and then bearish. But it's more like I don't want to put out a video and it just being sitting there where I can't explain my bull case as well. Because if I explain my bear case in the video, people just think I'm butchering the stock. And that's why it feels like I've pushed out all my positive news all week. And then
now we're here with everyone.
Breaking it down.
It's a bit of more of like an open forum here where we can sort of discuss it and everyone knows our true opinions. Otherwise, I think sometimes people just see a title and say in bear case and just assume, oh, he's out of stock now. He thinks it's going to zero, which isn't the case.
And I want to say that, like, my opinion is not Reese's opinion, and Reese's opinion is not my opinion. So, like, when you hear the likes of me saying this is not the Hustle Brothers have said this. This is Liam from the Hustle Brothers have said this. Reese could have a completely different opinion to what I have. But I just think when you invest in something, you need to look at both sides. I don't want to come onto this stream telling you that Archer and Joby are the best thing going. Look, we say both sides. From day one, we have said both sides, and we still get people saying that we've told them to buy into stock and we've hurt their wallet. So
I think the other thing is as well is that, like, say we get to the line bike scenario. In any good business venture, there is going to be holes that you could pick in it. Like, for example, with them line bikes, I remember everyone kept saying you couldn't put a bike out because someone will vandalize it or steal it or something like that. And
I've got a good one for you.
That does happen.
Have you ever bumped one of them?
How was it?
Have you ever bumped one of them? Where you like pick it up and you run along with it, and next thing you bypass the thing. Everyone will be trying that tomorrow. You bypass it and away you go.
That's what I mean. There is, like, for absolutely any sort of where obviously people are pulling holes in it, there are going to be some holes. Like, nothing is perfect. Even with the Uber model, where they're saying that the driver didn't use he used as a sat nav. He doesn't know the roads like a black cab driver. And like, why the hell would I care about?
That made me think. I don't want to say the word, but how am I going to say this? Someone taking over in a bad way the air taxi while it's flying. That is a bear case. Loads of people have been putting out. However, you could do that to an Uber. You see it done to commercial airliners. So I don't think you can go into a business with the fear of that happening. You can put steps in place of that happening. But I just think if something like that is going to happen, it doesn't matter what steps you put into place. You'll always get people that find a way to destroy your business. You can't worry about that type of thing.
And I imagine being with Palantir, I'm not sure their security is like, but I imagine that would probably help to some degree.
Yeah.
And then I imagine that's why they want piloted flights at the beginning, just in case anyone did ever get control of the AI or decided what the AI.
The only thing I would like, I'm not fully aware of the finished design on both of them, but I think they're quite open where you can more or less see the pilot and that. I do think as it comes closer, you'll start seeing where it's closed off, where you can't get to the pilot.
Yeah, basically like a London bus. London buses, you just have the driver in a little plastic cover, which is fine. Like, no one really. If anything, it's probably better. He's not going to chat your ear off.
Yeah.
What time do you start, boss?
You busy?
Yeah.
There was one thing I wanted to ask since the start of the stream, but I never seen a gap in it, so I'm going to say it now.
Oh, jeez.
was driving home with 6 psi in the back tire. Dylan, did you get home? Because I was dying to say that.
6 psi. It must have been pretty much flat.
This is the Hustle Brothers story, yeah. So back in August, Reese was actually over here, and me and my other brother went to the shop, yeah, and I forget what we were even getting. And next thing, we could hear boom, 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 boom in the back tire, and it was as bald as the comb the wire was hanging out. So next thing, I ring my other brother, and he was with Reese at the time, and they come to pick us up, or like go down to the car. We're going changing the tire because what do I call our other brother's name? Philip. Philip had the wrench for the nut of the car. So Philip lands down. We're all excited. We're going to change this wheel. And remember, I took the wheel out the back, and it was just some midget wheel. It wasn't for the car at all. Oh, that's Hustle Brothers story for today. But mate, I nearly died when I took this thing out.
That was hilarious. Yeah. It wasn't even half the size of the wheel. It was like that was the wheel.
Yeah. Imagine me even attempting to put that on. New Blade, welcome back. New Blade's actually am I saying that right? Is it No Blade or New Blade? Let me know.
Yeah,
however, he is pumping out quite a nice amount of information in the Discord at the moment. So I want to thank you for all your hard work. You're constantly sharing charts. He's keeping the chat going. So a special shout out to New Blade this week. Terry, hello. GB Original Nvidian, hello boys. How are we getting on? Good. Missing the green points. Do you know what? Until next year. Joby Airport Delta 2. Wasn't Delta itself partnered with Joby? Is this Joby double dipping with the same parent company?
I think this could be, it's similar to the Palantir one, isn't it, really? Like, it's sort
of,
in some ways, like, it's a similar, but it's only 49%, so technically they don't.
Technically, they're a different company, but I can see what you're sort of saying.
Yeah. We only have to convince 1%, like 1 or 2% more, and like, guess what? We've they have now invested in Joby as well.
The only thing I do like the fact with the Virgin brand. The Virgin brand is all about customer service, like Virgin Cruises,
and
Virgin
it's a brand, isn't it? It's the brand that you want.
It's the brand. It's the PR. It's just. I don't know how big it is in America, but in the UK, there was a stage where every billboard, even the trains used to be Virgin, but everything was Virgin. And it was
the only thing that, since we've like invested in Virgin Galactic,
dabbled in Virgin.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I put them on Fraud Watch a little bit.
Yeah, I would. Do you know what? It was only after we came out of Galactic, didn't the bank go under? And then the trains went under. And I was like, nah, this is some dodgy brand, you know.
And their phones and everything. But like the brand, I know everyone in England anyway, everyone thinks of it as like a high quality, like if you went on the Virgin plane or anything like that, it's quite a high
Virgin media, everything,
Yeah, they were regarded as a very high quality service.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's very good for partnering anyway, because people do still see it as the brand. Richard Branson is huge over here.
It's comfort. Like, once you slap the Virgin on it,
it's the trust.
They trust it. Whereas someone who has never heard of Joby, it was a bit like, I don't know, Wizz Air when they came out, or any of them mad ones. Even though they're the same planes, they're probably the same pilots. There's just something when you see the likes of American Airlines, or you see Emirates, or something like that. It's just the
you don't feel like you're getting kidnapped.
Yeah. My bag.
Yeah.
Cole, hey gents. Cole, I actually it was actually mad funny. Was it last week? Matt Money had a strain. I went straight onto it then after, and I seen Cole in the comments. I was like, mate, it's like I'm following you here. But welcome. Cole, Noob, great to catch you all for some chat. Dylan, as always, Dylan is one of our. Do you know what? He is the third hustle brother.
He is.
He actually has to be. Me and Dylan talk about an awful lot. It might not even be stock related. So I actually class Dylan as a friend now, to be fair.
100%.
Not that you're not all friends here, guys, but
Yeah.
no, it was after Dubai 2,926. I presume that's to say 2026. I hope it was meant to say 2026.
You'd hope they'd be flying by 29, 26.
But you know what? We will be the next Warren Buffett by then.
Yeah.
An eVTOL to get to the Aran Islands would be awesome. It would be awesome. It'd be like an eVTOL to get like up Crow Patrick or something like that. I'd make a killing. It'd be absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
You're in GB. How's it going, Lol New? Hello. Noob. I check Archer's chart. They were up 15% in a week, and that's basically what I'm up in my long-term hold. The trade would have been nice last week. Reese, did you add any more Archer or Joby this week?
No, I'm holding out now. It'll probably be the end of the month where I start adding back in again.
I'll be dead honest. I didn't add any Archer. I did add Joby. I just felt like I was neglecting Joby a little bit. And do you know what it was? I feel like we've been beating them down so much. They still have a bit of my heart, you know? So, yeah, it wasn't substantial whatsoever, but I just felt like I just had to keep dipping my toe in, you know? I can't forget about it. I do think, look, we beat down Joby. We bet them down for the right reason. I'm happy they've made this partnership. Some guys most guys here, because they're Archer bulls, are going to disagree with me. But I do think the bigger news this week probably was the Joby one, because we didn't know about that before. Archer, we more or less knew that was happening. It was just more or less finalized. But it is bigger. Like, it hits harder.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. The funny thing is, it's more the perception of it. Like, the word Palantir just jumps out and slaps you in the face. Whereas Virgin, I think that's a bit more of a UK-based thing. But still, for us in the UK, it means that eVTOLs are going to become even more accessible. And for me, I find it quite exciting.
Let me know how big Virgin is in America. Because it's like, do you only associate it more or less with Atlantic and with Galactic? Or is it like an international, like, really big international company? It's something I've never actually thought about. I know it's big in like UK and Ireland, but I don't know. So I'm buying now, and then he dips to DCA. We love that DCA.
Good man.
I'll tell you right now, as of yesterday, I am 100% out of Joby and put it all into Archer. So yeah, I've been buying the dips.
I'm a bit worried of getting out of Joby after.
Yeah, I'm just scared. I know the day we do it, and the day we announce it,
Joe Ben just goes out on a mad one. He comes out like a Conor McGregor press conference and just starts causing hate, like absolute havoc.
Picture of us two, like a wanted sign.
But it's very much, yeah.
Morgan Freeman and Big Reef.
Yeah. But it just goes to show, like as I was saying before, come Christmas time, I thought Joby were ahead, and I was actually more bullish on them. But in the space of 3 months, Archer have just been looking like they're making the right moves. But I want to be in both of the horses at the moment. I don't want to be pulling away, but I am edging more towards Archer at this point. But I don't want to be completely out of one or the other and leave all my eggs in one basket. What about you? How are you feeling about them both at the moment?
I just think with Cole, this is not financial advice. And look, if you're a lot more bullish on Archer, I've said it in all the streams that I highly concentrate on the companies I believe in. So if you believe in Archer so much more than Joby, I can 100% see why you're doing that. However, I just think we're in this. I want to always say, we invest in the eVTOL industry. I'm not too focused on company at the moment. I just put my eggs in the basket as I see the companies doing well. Yeah. I just think with Joby so close to certification, They're being beaten down at the moment, but we do know they're going to get there before Archer. I just couldn't sell out because I'm not saying they're going to have certification tomorrow. However, like, it'll just be our luck to be holding it for like 2 years and sell out before the time's right. It was like Rocket Lab. Remember when they had that capital raise and they got tortured? They went all the way down to 298 at one stage. I'll actually tell you the date. That was the 1st of August. I know it. The 1st of August, they went down to 298. Look where they are today. So sometimes when companies get beaten down, like Joby, there's no reason for it to be beaten down, really. Yes, we can say the conference call and the PR and all that. Look, we're clutching at straws there, really. What were we expecting? It was the same as the last conference call, really.
Yeah, no,
and then
true.
We just haven't had as much. It'd be like beating down Pepsi because they're not putting out as much PR as Coca.
Yeah,
but Pepsi are still performing, or it's like vice versa.
But like, it's the frustration as always of like you just want someone to do better. It's a bit like supporting your football team, and you know that they like if they just change one player, they'd probably be the best team, and then they refuse to do it. They don't buy anyone, and you're like, what the hell are you doing?
And that's what I want to say to some guys.
With them.
I want to say to some guys here, like some of you only have time to watch us say at Evtol Weekly, and you might not have time during the week to watch our videos, or vice versa. You might have only time to watch our videos, and we have loads of people that say they don't like the long form content, they don't have time and all this. And that's why I don't want people to come to this only once a week, haven't seen the videos all week, because the ones that have seen the videos all week think I'm the most bullish man there ever was about Archer and Joby. But then people that come here probably think I'm the most bearish man about Archer and Joby. And that's why I always say this is not financial advice. We are literally talking off the chest how we feel in our investments. And it's more, do you know what it is, Reese? Do you ever get this where you sort of, you forget we're on camera and you forget we're live and we just keep talking?
100%.
And it
100%,
is just like discussing as we always have.
Yeah. And getting everyone's input as well. I don't know. It just feels like is a community now where, like, I feel like we're all here every week, and we get to see so many good opinions, and a lot of it's like sometimes different insight that we were thinking. And sometimes it like sort of backs up what we are thinking. It makes you feel like, oh yeah, it's not just me. It's good.
What I was more or less saying. Like, if people are coming here and they're thinking, look, they're just being negative, they're being positive. We want your opinion, whether you think we're being too negative or you think we're being too positive. There's no point us coming on stream saying, look, Archer and Joby done this is going to make them $1 trillion industry, and away we go. Because, look, it might be entertaining for some people. We might make you feel like it's going to go there, but I can tell you, by just talking like that, it's not going to go there. And by
we don't want
talking negatively,
we don't want an echo chamber of it just everyone saying the same thing, marching along the same line. Everyone just come, say their opinion, and we'll read it out and have a bit of discussion.
So, Dylan, right now I'm buying in low 8s and 7s with the way the market is at the moment. And I think that's a good idea. I think anything $7, $8 is my buy range. $9, if I can see the market sort of stabilizing a little bit. I don't know. I think we're just teetering on the edge of another bit of bad news, and we're going to fall another bit. So, like, $9, I would be pretty careful. But $7, $8, yeah. As long as you're
we're in a bit of a storm, but like it will stabilize, and then I think it will start returning back up to the rally. But just wait it out. That'd be my advice.
And that's why I'm sticking to a $20 share price by the end of the year, because I do think we're going to turn back into a bull market. If we're holding at $8 when we have this extreme bad news, but the likes, like, if you think in the bull market, when we were at $12, the likes of the Palantir news would have sent us to 13 easily.
Oh, yeah, if higher, probably we'd be pushing towards that 20, yeah.
And what makes me laugh is the same people that were buying at 12, 13 are the same people saying, no, they won't buy now. It's just an endless cycle.
And then
And
when it
I'm
goes
not
up
trying
to
to
that,
convince anyone. I really couldn't care less what
I
price
guarantee
you
when it
buy.
goes up to like 10 and 11, they'll be buying that 11.
Well, they'll be buying again because we'll be
Yeah.
back in the bull market. But you know what? They're on. Kerry Archer's been kind to their investors since then. I dropped a lot of strategies this week to up your position or lower your DCA without adding money this week. Come join the discussion on Discord. Dylan, would you be able to? I don't know if the other guys can do it. Anyone can try, but I know Dylan is the moderator. Dylan, would you be able to drop the Discord link in the chat? Just because I'm going to be dead honest with you, there was a big panic before the stream because my docking station does not work. So I'm actually running off one screen. You can see we're not sharing screens today. It was actually a bit wild, yeah. So I've plugged that in. My lights, camera, mic, keyboard, everything runs off the docking station. But the C port is broken. I don't know what's wrong. So we were going to do a HDMI straight in, but I'd be sitting here in the dark. So
it's funny. The 11th episode, it was me with my Wi-Fi, and now the 12th one's you.
yeah, I know it's mad.
Testing us to see how committed we are. But don't worry, we'll be here every week.
We will be here every week. I see Archer's future revenue streams and management as being far more superior. And do you know what? If you honestly believe that, I can see why you have concentrated heavily in Archer. Look, you seem like a man that's in it for the long term. And I think if you're in it for the long term and you honestly believe that Archer is going to be the superior force, I can see why you're committing to Archer only at this stage. But I'm going to be honest with you. I need to stay in Joby until at least certification. I'd be doing an injustice to myself.
Yeah.
What about you, Reese?
No, I feel like I'd be being too reactive because, yeah, I feel they were neck and neck in my books. Then I thought Joby was ahead because of the part certification, and then Joby just didn't release anything for 6 weeks, and then obviously Archer just naturally took over because they did release stuff. Then they had the earnings call. Wasn't too much dissimilar other than I thought Archer a bit represented. But yeah, I just can't. I couldn't live with myself if I sold completely out of Joby and Joby ended up becoming the Coca-Cola. Whereas as long as I've got something in both, I can live if I've edged towards one and not the other.
This is a wild one. Picked up 5,100 shares of Hover.
Hover's quite a popular one, isn't it?
Hover is mad popular. I've only done the one video on Hover, and that was the $1 million projections and how many shares you'd need. Now, off the top of my head, I actually can't remember how much we said for Hover.
If Terry's still here, like, what share price did you get in that? Because I've seen over the last 5 days, it's up
0.53, is that?
3.84.
What is it now?
I know it's 0.52 today, but like it's up
0.53 when I was looking at it. I think with the Nasdaq, they've more or less been given an extension to stay under the dollar, but anything riding close to that dollar is looking for.
Be careful, yeah. Be very careful, Terry.
I'd be very careful, especially with 5,100. You're more or less, 2.5K in it. I'd be very careful. Now, 5,100. Did you buy that like recently, or is that dollar cost averaging? Because you could have even more capital in it. I'm not asking how much you have in it, but yes, I'd be very careful adding to that position. If you see it, look, if you believe in it, you'll be laughing at the Hustle Brothers if they take off because.
And I hope you do, to be honest. I don't want to see anyone losing money. As far as we're concerned, this is a big industry. If it's going to go to the trillion, there's more than enough pie for everyone, let's say.
The only thing that I doubt with Hover, well, not doubt with them, but I feel like we can't guarantee any business is going to work. However, with Joby and Archer being so, like, will they get certified? Won't they get certified? I'd be very careful in the likes of half of, like, what's Joby? Just over 5 billion market cap.
3.87 or something, and one's 3.8. These are billions, and then what's Hover's share price?
It was like 213 or something last time.
Market cap 16.15 million. Yeah. Yeah.
You can nearly buy the whole company. We'll just come together as the Hustler Brothers and we'll buy up Harvard. Put our faces on the side.
Yeah.
Guys, that was a joke before you say we're trying to pump Harvard. Trust me. I won't get Harvard. AI assisted human in safety critical business like air controllers. So it's going to be AI assisted human.
Fair. That'd be quite handy, to be fair. It would probably make their jobs easier. Hopefully, less errors. Between Andrew and Palantir.
Didn't we consider the relationship between Andrew and Palantir and Archer? It's gold. It is. But this is what I think. Are we focusing too much on separating Archer Defense and Archer? We're basically calling it Archer Commercial. Or should we just worry about, like, Archer is generating money and we don't care where it's coming from?
Yeah, that's a.
I'll make you think.
Yeah, like, I don't think I care. If I prefer them to have different revenue streams, then you're not reliant on any individual, like, stream.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really stopping, as long as they get the right people in, and they have enough space at the facilities, stopping them from working on 4 different fronts, as long as they're keeping it to specific aircrafts for each. I'm pretty happy with them, the way that they'll be doing that, and it sort of diversifies the risk, doesn't it?
This Andrew, as far as I'm aware, now guys, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Archer Defense is a separate entity to the Andrew partnership. So the Andrew partnership is to make the hybrid retail aircraft. It wasn't Archer Defense just part of the business. So are we depending too much on Andrew for this side of the business to run?
I think I need to check up on that one, because I was under the impression they would have been Archer Defense that covered that. Wait, we might have lost.
Can you hear me? No.
I can hear you. I can't see you on the camera.
Perfect. That's just all my lights and everything gone at me. I can hear you, so we can keep talking. I will reset all this for you.
Yeah, sound. We'll carry on with the comments then.
Yeah, so I can fire up another comment. So we have new blade. Volume production will reduce manufacturing costs like Tesla faster if you're vertically integrated or if you control the supply chain on 2 to 3 levels.
That's so. I think that's one of the main driving points of Joby, is the fact that they are. Oh, here we are. It's what we've all been waiting for. Big Reese is back. Want a big shout out to everyone. But yeah, no, the fact that they are vertically integrated obviously is a major benefit, and it means they're not very reliant on anybody else in the supply chain. There we go. The people are clamoring for Big Reese, so they're more than happy they got it.
I could see everyone throwing the cat. It's gone again.
Jesus, yeah, back.
I'm telling you, my docking station's gone.
It's done well though. It lasted the hour anyway.
But you know what's happened now? My mouse is gone and all.
Can
you read any comments there?
Yeah, let me grab up. I need to find out where this one started. But yeah, basically just discussing about how they'll be able to reduce the manufacturing costs because of the vertically integrated model.
So then, looking at another one, we have best of gold package delivery.
So the next one's from GB Original Nvidian with Wow Dylan. Then that's bad. And then Dylan Rogers says, send me up that midnight as that canary, lol. Oh, yeah. So Dylan's willing to be the canary going down the mine. Dylan will try and find someone else, to be honest. Research-wise, you're one of the major players. We're going to need you for all videos going forward. As this can be a long journey. I don't think this is just going to be 2 or 3 years. I don't think we'll all be out of this by 2028. I think that'd be just the start. Dylan Rogers then at GB. I feel Joby has consolidated and I can re-enter as basically the same price point. That's my rationale. I'm also a very big Archer bull. Oh, Bill and study that company much better, to be honest. Terry Anth is coming back. Don't own Joby, but expect to add them before the year's end. So Terry's sort of backing us up with spreading the risk between Joby and Archer and making sure that you've got a part in both of the camps. As we always say, that the Pepsi and Coca-Cola, you never know which one's going to actually take off. And who knows, Joby might end up getting their PR team in order and end up pushing out towards the end of the year whilst they're pushing for that part certification. GB original NVIDIA, Dylan. I'm bigger in Archer. So we've got a bit of an Archer rivalry here. Who's bigger, GB original NVIDIA or Dylan? No Blade, best to package delivery with cheaper vehicles to accumulate experience in both flight time and research and development, and Saudi luxurious to improve margins. I think that's an interesting one that Archer have done actually by going to Abu Dhabi Aviation. So obviously they're not going to be servicing or carrying out the flights themselves, but I imagine there must be some deal that they can do with the test flights and obviously the information they need back from that. And it sort of feeds into what we were discussing earlier with, in order for them to be able to mass produce these flights, they need a lot of information. And if they're getting paid for the vehicle and they're getting that information in turn, it's sort of a win-win for them. I think that was one of the biggest parts of the earnings call. And I think it got a bit overshadowed by the fact that the price dropped significantly once we were on. GB original NVIDIA is saying UAE is promising, and they're both very heavy. And then he's asked Dylan, what's his price prediction for the end of year at Archer? So this is going to be a very interesting one. As we all know, Dylan's a big Archer bull. So he said, honestly, GB, with the market quite red any given day, I'm among my price target for Archer that the end of the year will be $12 to $14, and to expect dilution along the way as well. I think that's quite an interesting one, Dylan, about the dilution. I know we've discussed that earlier on in the year, but can everyone else see a bit more dilution, or do you think that we've seen the end of dilution for Archer for the near like term?
Can you hear me again, Race?
I can hear you. I can't see you on video.
Yeah, so my docking station is completely packed up. So I have no camera, no lights, no nothing. But you know what? You have the blessing of my voice.
Yeah. You sound like the woman from Come Fly With Me. We got no coffee. We got
we got big Reese.
Yeah, we had a lot of big Reese today. Might be too much. We might need to cut that out next week.
There we go. Big face Reese and no face Liam.
So yeah, we're up to Dylan's given a price range for the end of the year for Archer at $12 to $14.
$12 to $14. I'd be happy to see a $12 to $14 price range.
And he's saying to expect dilution along the way. How do you feel about that?
Dilution, I think, is part and parcel with this whole industry at the moment. Yeah. I think no matter what company we invest in on the Evtol side, I honestly believe we need to anticipate dilution. So that's why you need to be in this for the long term. I think the likes of traders, they may make quite a bit of money in the likes of Archer and Joby pretty quickly. However, eventually they will get stung because I do think dilution will occur sooner rather than later with the two companies.
I I don't know. Have you got access still to the comments?
Yeah. So I have access now to everything. So we have Vaz, hey updates, have to watch second best Evtol show on the internet. Vaz, you know what?
First, he's first wrong every week for some reason.
Yeah, you're coming to us, mate. It's the first. I'm telling you, it's the first. Here's the question: where is Archer set up to drop the ball outside of FAA? So, like them as a company to truly drop the ball, still looking for Stellantis deal to be sealed and done.
I think that's definitely one for the next earnings call. I know it was asked this time, but it's very similar for Joby, obviously with their Toyota deal, just to get a bit more of an understanding on what needs to be achieved for these money reserves to be released. At the moment, they've both said they've basically got the deal, and they've been reporting on it, but we have no details, and that's something I'd like to know. If they could release that, it'd be great. But I imagine Archer will do a massive release when the time is right. I don't doubt that one bit.
Does Andrew help replace Stellantis if that does fall through? Do you know what? I don't actually think Stellantis will fall through.
If Stellantis falls through, I would be. I think that's a bit of a gut punch.
Do you know what? If Stellantis falls through, I am back to be heavily Joby again, and this is why I think you need to be.
It's like the weighing scale. Like it's them the weighing scales when people weigh the gold, wasn't it? Like, they'd be going up and down. Like
how would How would the likes of Archer take on? I know you're all going to say Palantir, but how would they take on the likes of a Joby being backed by a Toyota?
With their manufacturing expertise of producing millions of cars, it'd be very difficult in a new business, and just having that expertise, that hand around the shoulder, can really help push you. I think that would be a big gut punch, but fingers crossed, guys. Let's hope that's nothing.
It's all good. It's like medium reach this time. Thanks, Harry. That's been a big one. I was thinking would be done by Q4. A partnership based on a memorandum of understanding with no firm commitment and nothing to lose isn't really important other than for press. But isn't that what we were calling for? We've been calling for press. The only thing is, I would have liked... Are we talking about Archer or Joby? Because I'm presuming this is on Joby. And I would have liked them to have put out how many aircraft they're planning on operating in the UK. But look, I feel like at the moment it is a press release game. It's who can get the better news out, beat the other person. Love to chat more if you happen to hop over to Discord, Terry. Great. Terry, you need to join Discord. It's completely free. And you know what? It's a bit of a life in there sometimes.
Yeah, crack. Yeah.
I took it to be Andrew is to involve in a military product and maybe sales partner to government. I got that right, brother. So I took it to be Andrew is to involve in a... Yeah, that's what I thought. So I thought the Andrew side of Archer Defense is like they're going producing this hybrid VTOL. However, I don't think it's weird. The only product will be at the moment the Midnight hybrid aircraft that will be made in conjunction with Andrew. So we're depending on Andrew there. However, I would like them further on. This is going completely out of the park. But further on, I'd like them to bring out another product that is not entirely based around Andrew, because you're depending your whole side of your business is more or less owned by Andrew. It's whatever Andrew decide.
Yeah. And it depends what partnership agreement they have. If it's an exclusivity one, or have they got freedom to be like dealing with anyone? But who knows?
There are a bunch of airlines. The airlines that are on those lines, Archer and Joby will be the suppliers. The airlines choose which flying cars to go with. So both will exist, like Ford and GM. Yeah, I agree. Both will exist. But
agreed.
it could be like, who can I say? Ford and Mazda or something like that. You don't want it to be a complete domination by one. Hyundai Spirit Korea 2027. What milestones do they need to get Stellantis money? Is it possible? I'm going to be dead honest with you. I haven't looked into the ins and outs of that Stellantis deal. I presume it'd be very similar to the Joby or the Joby and the Toyota.
There hasn't actually been any information to let us know the exact details.
Could be a video for this week to see if we can find any more information on that Stellantis deal.
I'll check again, but last time I checked, I couldn't find out the details for that or for the Toyota. I think they're being kept on the wraps.
It's too early to more or less say too, and it's more or less it's going to be kept behind closed doors until it's more or less done, I believe. So the deal seemed almost done, Frankie, and then Carlos went off the board to Stellantis in October 24. The deal went big quitter after that. As says, they are spending the money already. I do believe when that Carlos Tavares went AWOL.
That was one of the first Evtol Weeklies.
Yeah, and it was a big gut punch, you know.
The shock.
And it was round in.
He was the one driving. He was driving it. That was the problem.
It was the following week then. Joe Benden had to take over as CFO of Joby then as well. Yeah. It was a mad week for leadership changes in the two companies. I wonder what split between the involvement of Andrew and Archer Defense, intellectually, financially, production means this be a kickback of Archer. Yeah, that's exactly what we're saying. You don't want. I know most people are bullish on Andrew, but we're not Andrew Defense.
But they don't need type certification for that either, do they? So that might just be an actual revenue stream to get us up and running. I think if they can run both side by side, for me, it doesn't really bother me. But obviously, if it means that it pushes type certification back, then it becomes a bit of a problem because we're sort of kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that revenue from Andrew is going to be sufficient. And then we'll end up falling behind Joby. And there we go. Then we're starting to go back to square one where we were in December.
Yeah. No, Reese, it has been great talking to you again. We'll do same time next week. Guys, 100%. Thank you so much for being here. And make sure to hit that like button to ensure we keep banging these out every week. And if you want to be here for the next one, make sure you've hit that subscribe button.
100%.
Right,
See you all. Catch you next week.